In today's exploration, we take a methodical journey through some of the darkest myths and legends that have shaped human culture and society for centuries. Our investigation delves into the complex narratives and symbolic structures while employing deep technical insights to analyze these stories through a modern, analytical lens. This presentation is grounded in a fact-driven exploration of the origins, evolution, and implications of these enduring legends. While many tend to dismiss such tales as mere folklore, we recognize the intricate dynamics of socio-cultural forces, historical events, and psychological archetypes that have given rise to them. Drawing on extensive cross-disciplinary research, our discussion outlines the interplay between myth and history, with an emphasis on evidence-based narrative analysis. We will unravel the layers of symbolism, tracing numeric and date-specific data, archaeological datings, and historical recountings that underscore the veracity and transformation of these myths over time. Among our selected topics are the ancient origins embedded in early civilizations, the metaphysical narratives like Pandora's Box that combine elements of ethical philosophy with myth-induced catastrophes, and the legacy of legendary figures such as vampires and cursed pharaohs. This script will present advanced topics with rigorous analytical frameworks, suitable for an expert audience well-versed in mythological studies, history, and cultural anthropology. We are ready to dissect these dark tales, moving past just the surface to examine underlying motifs, technical details of cultural transmission, and the numerical data that often punctuate historical accounts. Our aim is to offer both a conceptual and practical analysis, challenging common assumptions while highlighting the enduring influence of these tales on modern cultural dynamics. This overview initiates. Before delving into specific legends, it is essential to understand the ancient underpinnings that have given rise to myth throughout human history. Scholars have long argued that myths function as multifaceted cultural artifacts, capturing the essence of early civilizations' attempts to decode existential questions. In many cases, these stories were imbued with layers of symbolism, numerology, and coded references to astronomical and seasonal cycles, reflecting the scientific observations available at the time. Precise calendrical records and early mathematical concepts provided frameworks for interpreting celestial phenomena, further shaping the narrative structure of myths and legends. Anthropological studies demonstrate that the narratives were not arbitrarily fabricated. Rather, they were meticulously constructed to serve as pedagogical guides, moral compasses, or even cosmic blueprints that integrated religious dogma with empirical observation. For instance, early societies employed mythic storytelling as a medium to chronicle natural disasters, astronomical events, and agricultural cycles with surprising accuracy, drawing from proto-scientific data encoded in their rituals and iconography. This rigorous intertwining of fact and legend laid the groundwork for modern myth analysis that relies on historical documents, carbon dating, and comparative literature studies. Moreover, these mythological constructs often contain technical details that predate the scientific method. Advanced civilizations, such as the Babylonians and Egyptians, embedded early mathematical principles and architectural measurements into their sacred texts, a practice that continues to captivate contemporary historians. By recognizing these myths as dynamic repositories of empirical observation and analytical data, we gain insight into the evolutionary process of human knowledge. This deeper understanding invites us to re-examine ancient narratives through the lens of modern analytical techniques, including statistical modeling and data-driven hypothesis testing, ultimately revealing the profound sophistication inherent in ancient myth-making traditions. This exploration underscores the critical integration of historical data with mythological analysis for a fuller understanding of ancient wisdom. Remarkably, the myth of Pandora's Box remains one of the most analyzed tragedies in Greek mythology, and it offers a wealth of insights for experts examining the intersection of myth and early scientific thought. According to classical sources, Pandora, the first woman, was endowed with both beauty and curiosity, a combination that ultimately led to the opening of a container meant to hold all the evils of the world. Detailed textual analysis suggests that the myth was as much a theological lesson as it was an early exploration of psychological dualities, offering a framework for understanding the interplay between hope and despair. Recent studies, leveraging data from archaeological findings and chronological texts, have pinpointed the origins of this myth to a time when early Greek culture was rapidly evolving. Radiocarbon dating of ancient pottery fragments and inscriptions indicates that narratives surrounding Pandora's box were in circulation as early as the 8th century BCE. This convergence of artistic expression and nascent scientific inquiry highlights the fact that even one of the earliest myths was deeply embedded with technical, quasi-scientific elements. The myth employs a subtle numerological symbolism. The singular metaphor of box, often interpreted as a container of preordained negative numbers or forces, offers a blueprint for examining the concept of containment in both a literal and metaphorical sense. Analytical historiography reveals that Pandora's box represents more than just a cautionary tale. It embodies the complexities of human innovation and unintended consequences. Ethnographic parallels can be drawn to technological breakthroughs, which, despite their promise, bring about unforeseen risks, a discussion vibrant in today's debates over modern technology. Statistical studies reveal a pattern wherein the concept of a container releasing chaos serves as a metaphor for human vulnerability. The paradox embedded in Pandora's story resonates with contemporary models of risk assessment and systems theory, where the introduction of any new element can unbalance the equilibrium, leading to cascading effects across interconnected domains. Studies in mythological semiotics further unveil that the myth operates on multiple levels of symbolism, intertwining ethical philosophy with emerging ideas about causal chains and systemic vulnerabilities. In sum, Pandora's box serves as a timeless allegory that mirrors the delicate balance between creative pursuit and the inherent dangers of disrupting established orders. Furthermore, quantitative analyses of motif recurrence rates indicate that Pandora's myth has significantly influenced subsequent literary and cultural productions across millennia. Statistical studies reveal a recurring pattern in narrative structures, wherein the concept of a container releasing chaos serves as a metaphorical constant for human vulnerability. This data-driven approach underscores the enduring legacy and profound intricacy of the myth, bridging classical literature with modern complexity theory. Vampire legends traverse cultural boundaries and historical epochs, offering an intricate tapestry of folklore that has evolved over centuries. In Eastern Europe, early accounts describe revenants with a thirst for blood and a capacity for shape-shifting, with documented instances dating back to the 11th century BCE literature and medieval chronicles. Detailed statistical analyses of historical records demonstrate that vampire lore was not static, but instead developed through the synthesis of folk medicine, religious symbolism, and social paranoia over contagious diseases. Modern vampiric narratives often incorporate nuanced representations that embed technical medical theories and genetic anomalies, reflecting advances in biological science. Comparative literature studies have traced the evolution of the vampire archetype from its rudimentary depictions to its contemporary incarnations. Historical data indicates that the frequency of vampire-related myths surges during periods of social instability where epidemiological factors and mass mortality events contributed to the propagation of legends. Moreover, quantitative research reveals specific numeric patterns in recurrence of motifs such as immortality, nocturnal predation, and the dichotomy between light and darkness. These patterns have led to mathematical modeling of myth propagation, lending statistical credence to the cultural persistence of the vampire legend. Exploratory data analysis on folklore collections shows that vampire myths often incorporate localized beliefs and regional peculiarities. For instance, rituals surrounding death, proper burial customs, and community health practices serve as precursors to the more elaborate vampire legends. Rigorous cross-cultural examination has identified parallels between European vampire myths and similar entities in Asian and African folklore, although with variations in pathology and endemic symbolism. The vampire therefore becomes not merely a creature of horror, but a complex cultural metaphor for both the allure and the dangers of the unknown realms of biology and mortality. Furthermore, advanced literary criticism and cultural analytics have provided a framework to understand how vampire legends operate as a dynamic system, reflecting societal fears and the scientific pursuit of immortality. This multivariate analysis, supported by numerical data and historical fact, ensures that the vampire remains a subject of scholarly intrigue, embodying both literal and figurative dimensions that cross temporal and geographic lines. Integrating demographic statistics with myth-influenced cultural analytics, researchers have uncovered that vampire motifs appear with a regular frequency in historical texts, often aligning with population health crises and economic upheavals. This quantitative intersection of myth and society deepens our understanding of the vampire's evolution. Thus, analysis concludes the enigma. In the annals of ancient Egypt, the legends of cursed tombs and mummified curses have captivated both historians and scientists alike, inspiring rigorous arithmetical studies and archaeological radiometric dating methods. The Curse of the Pharaohs, often popularly connected with the opening of tombs such as that of Tutankhamun, embodies a convergence of myth, historical record, and documented epidemiological observations. Precise measurements using modern carbon dating techniques have established timeframes that correlate with the periods of great Egyptian dynasties, offering a numerical framework for understanding how legends are anchored in cultural memory. Extensive research indicates that the notion of a curse served as both a deterrent and a protective measure, effectively segregating the sacred from the profane. Statistical analysis of tomb entry records, combined with computational models in risk assessment, demonstrates that rituals associated with curses were part of a broader system of spiritual and practical security measures embedded in ancient Egyptian society. For example, inscriptions found within hidden chambers not only warn of supernatural retribution, but also provide quantified details, such as dates, measured distances, and hieroglyphic sequences, that modern analysts can cross-reference with astronomical data. Moreover, the interplay between myth and science in the context of the pharaoh's curse is underscored by numerous case studies. Detailed forensic examinations of mummy remains and toxicology reports from burial chambers are now routinely compared to traditional curse narratives. While some might dismiss these legends as superstition, the convergence of empirical evidence and recorded lore suggests a deliberate embedding of harmful consequences as a social control mechanism. This sophisticated blending of ritualistic deterrence with early scientific methods reinforces the enduring power of the curse motif in ancient Egyptian culture. Finally, historical fact and rigorous data-driven analysis both reaffirm that the curses linked to the pharaohs were more than mere stories. They represent a calculated strategy of legacy preservation, interwoven with symbolic numerology and precise chronometric data that continue to fascinate experts across archaeological and statistical disciplines. Further meta-analyses of hieroglyphic codices reveal that these scientifically quantifiable elements not only demystify ancient lore, but also provide robust, reproducible data that modern historians and statisticians can verify. In the rugged chronicles of Norse mythology, dark tales of fate, doom, and Ragnarok offer profound insights into the Viking worldview, where the inevitable end of days is portrayed not as a mere myth, but as an existential reality. Comprehensive studies of sagas and skaldic poems reveal that these narratives incorporate complex cosmological models, intricate genealogies, and symbolic representations of mortality that align with early astronomical observations. Researchers noted that recurrent themes of doom and cosmic imbalance were expressed through poetic metrics and rudimentary calculations, reflecting an advanced understanding of cyclical time. Detailed analyses of runic inscriptions and saga manuscripts have enabled historians to reconstruct societal beliefs with impressive accuracy. The quantitative examination of verse structure, including metrics of alliteration and rhythmic composition, provides concrete evidence that these dark narratives were part of an elaborate system of cultural documentation. In this context, Ragnarok emerges not only as a mythical apocalypse, but also as a metaphor for natural cycles of decay and renewal, echoing the seasonal variations observed by Viking societies. Furthermore, statistical models applied to historical records from the Viking era indicate that descriptions of omens and supernatural events correspond closely with recorded astronomical data. Such correlations suggest that Norse seers used technical computations to predict periods of societal transformation. The convergence of myth and early scientific discourse in Viking culture, as evidenced by dated chronicles and genealogical records, reinforces the notion that these stories served both as entertainment and as sophisticated explanations for life's uncertainties. Finally, an interdisciplinary approach combining literary analysis, historical fact, and numerical data enables a deeper understanding of Norse mythology's impact on Viking society. This exploration underscores how meticulously crafted narratives, embedded with symbolic precision and technical sophistication, continue to inform modern interpretations of fate, power, and the inexorable march of time. Advanced computational studies reveal that the ratio of mythic elements to literal historical references is carefully balanced, providing a matrix of data that supports predictive models of societal transformation in harsh climates. Across Eastern traditions, spirits and hauntings serve as a portal into the intricate interplay between ancestral reverence and supernatural retribution. Deep-rooted in centuries-old practices, legends such as Japanese yurei and Chinese ghost stories encapsulate the delicate balance between filial piety and karmic justice. Advanced studies in cultural anthropology reveal that these ghostly narratives are laden with elaborate symbolism, precise calendrical references, and numerical patterns that align with lunar cycles and seasonal rituals. Rigorous analysis of folklore texts has uncovered that specific dates and numerical sequences often serve as keys to unlocking the intended moral and ethical messages embedded within these tales. Scholars underscore that Eastern apparition lore reflects a layered understanding of the afterlife, where spectral figures represent both the blessings and transgressions of ancestral spirits. Detailed forensic linguistics analyses of classical scrolls have revealed subtle variances in the usage of honorifics and ritualistic language, a linguistic pattern that corresponds with documented historical transitions during dynastic shifts. Furthermore, cross-regional comparative studies indicate that the structure of these narratives is optimized for transmission across generations, often employing repetitive numeric symbolism to reinforce memory retention among communities. Empirical research drawing on statistical methodologies shows that ghost-related events in Eastern folklore spike around specific lunar phases, suggesting a deliberate synchronization with astronomical phenomena. Ethnographic examinations have documented that rituals involving ritualistic purification, ancestral offerings, and incantations are calibrated using calculated timetables, reflecting an advanced understanding of cyclical time and metaphysics. This convergence of detailed calendrical computation with spiritual ritual not only bolsters the credibility of these legends, but also exemplifies the sophisticated integration of numeracy in cultural practices. Moreover, technical analyses of traditional exorcism rites reveal that many of these practices incorporate precise measurements of protective substances and timed recitations, underscoring an empirical approach to spiritual healing. In sum, the haunting narratives of Eastern traditions are a repository of intricate technical details, culturally encoded data, and a legacy of empirical observation that informs both historical scholarship and contemporary spiritual practices. Thus, a synthesis of quantitative metrics with qualitative lore illustrates that Eastern spirit traditions not only persist through time, but also adapt with rigorous empirical precision. In conclusion, our analytical journey into dark myths and legends has revealed the profound complexity underlying these ancient narratives. From Greek catastrophes to vampiric legends, pharaonic curses, Norse apocalypses, and Eastern hauntings, each story is imbued with technical details, symbolic numerology, and historical data that continue to influence modern interpretations. These myths, far from mere folklore, serve as data-rich repositories that blend narrative art with early scientific thought. This exploration reaffirms that myth remains a powerful lens through which we can examine the human condition, societal evolution, and our quest for understanding. Dark myths endure, inspiring inquiry and